G'day guys, how's it going? Right, this is 6 changes. It's also a bit of or changes to my gear and a bit of a debriefing after the camping trip, which is culminated in these changes that I'm making. So, just quickly, short lookers, hang on, sorry. Pot lid handle, first aid tag for my bag, flask not bloody needed, food snacks, don't get us hungry on the ride, Silky Gomboy bloody Outback saw, and cook pack essentials only when needed. So I'm just going to run through that, but I've also got my checklist that I used if you've seen that video, and I'll just tell you some of the stuff that I didn't use, but we'll head over that way. Right, let's get some stuff out of the way. And overnight, so this is my overnight tub, and in here is all stuff that if I'm doing an overnighter, say my pants for around the camp was great. These are rain pants, but I said it in the last one, they're, what do you call it, like most probably for skiers or something like that. But the beauty of these pants, not like the normal rain gear that you get, you know, it's a real struggle to get them on and off over your boots and all that kind of stuff. These have been fantastic, and they did work over my adventure pants. I was worried that normally I'd wear these over my Kevlar jeans when I was on the cruiser. But, can you see that? They open right up. So when you go to put your leg through, like, you have got tons of room in these. So I don't know, if you're looking at waterproof pants, if you can get one that has a big bloody zipper that goes, like, these are like stripper pants. If they were Velcro, they'd be stripper pants. They can actually pull right apart. So yeah, I'm really happy with that, because that was the first time I've used these with my adventure pants, because the venture pants have the rain liner in them, but I really did like having these over the top because they're warmer and whatever. The towel, now I didn't say it in the last time, so I've got a towel here, so that's great for drying yourself or bloody hands or whatever. But the other bonus to having one of these is in the morning when you're packing up, I always use it for wiping the dew or condensation or bloody, in our case it was rain, off the tent, so you don't have so much bloody water in there. My shoes worked well. That's the, what do you call it, the raincoat, which was the dry rider. That works brilliantly. The only extra benefit you could have with this is if it did have a hood on it. Or, you know, sometimes they have hoods that are tucked in the collar so that you can fold it away and out of the way. But yeah, that's a minor thing, but that worked well. I wore that the whole time. Both these, because it was cold. Saturday it was sunny all the way, but it was cold, so it just kept me warm. And then on the way home on the Sunday, it was raining pretty much the whole way. So you kept dry and warm with that gear on. Socks, jocks and bloody t-shirt, that worked well. Now, I didn't use toothpaste. I didn't use my deodorant. I didn't use toilet paper. But they're all things I'm going to take apart from the deodorant. It depends on what type of camping or how you're camping. You know, if you're spending more, blah, 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 whatever. So me sleeping mattress, as I've said before, game changer, the old Cedar Summit Ethelite, whatever. The Halinox chair, absolutely brilliant. Now the table was nice to have. But it's just not essential, and if you're lacking in space and whatever, it's just not a necessity. It's kind of like here and all there, having that. Obviously pillows are brilliant. The felt liner that goes over the top of that is great. Now this is all, you know, wintry stuff. So wintry wise, if it was summer or just normal weather, I wouldn't take that felt thing. So that taking this out. The blanket, I take the blanket if it's normal weather. If it's hot weather, no way am I taking that blanket. So you start, there's quite a lot of bulk there we're taking out of it. Now this, and there's even more bulk again. That's the problem with these. They're light, but they're really bulky. So I had to, on this ride, carry, so I have my normal 40-litre duffel bag, and that's all I carry. But I had to, I'll grab it, sorry. Had to have my, I think it's 20-litre Renegade bag. So I added that. So I had the bag, I'll most probably show a picture of this bag on the back, and then this was in front of it. I still had plenty of room, it wasn't an issue, but the least amount of bloody stuff I've got to bring, the better. So what I did was, my tent, so that's all my tent, and what was the extra thing? Oh, and the extra thing was that was in that. Then all the other stuff fitted in just that duffel bag. Right, so I'm not sure whether this made much of a difference. So this is the picnic blanket, and I'll show you it. I had it folded over just like that to give me extra, so the ground cold wasn't going to come through to the mattress, and then obviously the air in the mattress gets cold. And then when you've got your sleeping bag, and of course you're laying on the sleeping bag, it all compresses and then you get the cold. And I reckon about twice during the night, I felt the cold. Instantly, as soon as I moved a little bit, that was gone. Those hot hands, I had two, the toe warmers, and they actually stuck to my socks. And I had just the bigger one, just chucked that up just around near me. I was toasty warm, no worries at all. It was only when you got out of the bloody sleeping bag and out of the tent and around the campfire that it was, not the campfire, before it got lit, it was cold. Right, bloody hell guys, I'm all over the shop. I just wanted to quickly mention, so I said about the rubbish bag, so that's just a stuff sack. Cedar Summit one, doesn't matter what brand it is. I always carry this. Now, because I had my tent in this, and because I normally run just one bag, which is that, and everything goes in there. So that's my tent, my sleeping gear, pillows, the whole kit and caboodle is all in there. Now the problem with that is that if, like this time, the tent was wet, and I couldn't dry it enough and we weren't hanging around enough for the sun to come out and dry it all up, there was no way in hell that was going to happen on the Sunday. If I had to put my tent in there, all that moisture would have permeated through everything, my sleeping bag, pillows, the whole kit and caboodle. It's not that bad if you're just doing the one nighter, but if you've got 2 nights and you're riding somewhere to then camp another night, you're going to be standing around the fire trying to dry up everything. So that's when I've got, so this is good for, like I said, putting ice in to keep your bloody beverages cold. It's good for taking out rubbish with you. And for me, with my one bag system, it's good for putting in the wet tent into that, sealing it up, and then whacking it in there. That way all the moisture doesn't go in through all the other stuff. Cool, just wanted to do that. Right. Okay, so now getting down to what I've learnt. Now I'm going to show you. So I have a brew kick pack. So that's just for making a coffee on the side of the road or the track or whatever. Rip out my butane thing. My cup's in there, my coffee's in there, spoons, all that kind of stuff is in there. That's done. No changes to that. My cook pack, though, I've done a major change, because this cook pack, I had it so that I had everything in there for any possible case. But what I've now learned is, no, stop doing that, Mark. You don't need to do that. I have bare essentials in there, and then if something like I'm going to be doing extended, if I'm just bloody going to be cooking up something small, on the butane stove, not on a campfire, I'll bring one of these bloody things to stop, you know, wind blowing around it. But if I'm only, so that's if I'm doing extended cooking, like cooking, I don't know, sausages or whatever that's going to take, I don't know, 20 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that. But if I'm just cooking up a bit of water, I really don't need that. I can duck behind my bike, duck behind a tree in a bit of a hill or whatever. You can, you know, hover around it and you'll just quickly boil up your thing. It's not a problem. So I don't need to carry that. It's just another thing in there that I've got to sort through. And then I've also got this pack, which is my power bank. No change to that. It's just, that's all that's in there. Simple as, you know, with the cables and charging and all that kind of stuff. It's just all in one. Oh. So I will show you quickly what's in here. Right, so on this pack here, I have a couple of cutting boards. I used to have, I used to have this one jammed in there as well. I mean, everything fitted in, but the reason why I had this, and this is me being, you know, a video, I just thought that was a cooler look, you know, a bit rustic or whatever, but it's like, come on, Mark, stop being a dickhead. This is the, call it the ceramic bloody, that thing, so it goes on the butane. It spreads out the heat of the little flame that hits on there, but it makes the heat come out so you don't get a hot spot on your pot. Now, I don't always need that, but it's such a small, thin thing, and it just fits in there. I'll just leave it like that. Right, around here, in this pocket here now, I have nothing. That is totally empty. In here, I have these, well, they don't really need to live in there at the moment. I should keep them out in my little bit over here where I have my salt and pepper. I very rarely actually use these. So now, if I'm cooking something that I'm going to need to use that stuff, well, then I'll do it. These can be used for, you know, putting honey or tomato sauce. Like tomato sauce is what I carried in these, and I brought two, but I only actually used one. So they can go there. Got my lighter. This is paper towel and bloody a paper bag. That's useful for lots of different things. The paper towel is great for the cleanup. I have, if I need to refill this out of the canister that's in there, I can use that. So that lives in there. And then I've got fire lighters, so just your commercial ones, and then the petroleum jelly ones in there. So they just, I suppose that's not a necessity either. I mean, it's all personal bloody preference, I suppose, but that's all that's in there. I mean, it's just simple. And then in here is where I have my gas bloody canister. I've got my coffee satchels, a cup, which goes like that, my little stove, and the adapter that connects on there to be able to run that stove. And then the only other thing I've got is a spoon, a fork, a little spatula, tongs, this knife here, which is, so, you know, I could have had one of these knives, but this is just a really nice knife to use. It cuts really, really well. And I've changed up, I had a small spoon, one of these, this carbon whatever bloody crap this is. But the thing that I found was when I had it in there, it always got lost down the bottom. And this is, the teaspoon is what I would use the most. So Nate actually bought these long ones and I went, shit, I'm going to take one of those. So now it sits up the top. It also gets differentiated from there. So I know, you know, I'm not digging around. So, and that's it. That's all that's in there. So if I wanted to, you know, bring that, I can bring that. If I need, you know, all these different bits and pieces, hey presto, cool. Right, so that's my cook pack, essentials only, and then I only add what I need depending on what I'm doing. Beautiful, that's number one out of the way. Now the Silky Boy, it's a Silky Gomboy Outback. It's the Outback, I think it's just the colour of it. This thing, I hadn't really tested it actually out on a trip, and we did. Mark and Tynan were bloody impressed with how that cut through wood so fast. I mean, this is brand new, so it's really sharp. But I tell you what, just having that being able to cut some cut up wood was brilliant. Now, you know, you're not cutting through you don't have to cut through the whole lot. You know, you can cut halfway or 3/4 of the way through and then break the rest. And I'll most probably do a video on processing wood for campfire, and it all depends too, like where we were, we had a designated spot. So if you were, what do they call it, dispersed camping, you can most probably get away with having the long ones across, and then it burns through, and then you move them in and all that kind of stuff. But another great thing is, what I always do is I find 2 trees, and around where all the stuff around here, most probably Australia, you have a lot of the trees will grow up like that, and they've got 2 trunks or 3 trunks. And if you find one where it's really close, you get the wood in there, and I'm talking about, you know, wood that's most probably that thick. You get that in there, and then just boom, it breaks and snaps off, so you don't have to cut. And if you can't do that, you put a bit of a cut, and then you do it, and hey presto. I'll actually mostly do a video, yeah. All right, so the Gomboy, that's always coming with me if we're going to have a campfire. It's, you know, it's only small. Food. So and this is something that, and it was interesting why I'm making a note of it, because I thought it was just me. When I go on rides, I don't eat nearly as much as what I do when I'm around home. Because you're just busy and you're doing stuff, and you just don't, I don't get the hungers. But it was interesting that the guys also said the same thing. They did the same thing. So, you know, I took cheese and salami and peanuts. What else was there? Damn bloody short lookers. I can duct tape them to me head. Anzacs and bananas. I ate me bananas. I didn't eat. I think I only did one lot of the Anzacs, but I didn't eat the peanuts. I didn't do the salami and cheese. Granted, on the Saturday going there, we stopped at Bridgewater, and we got a pie. So it's always good to bloody, you know, stop and do a pie. But then I like to be self-sufficient, and I can just pull up anywhere and go, right, I want to have lunch. So I'll get out my crackers and my salami and cheese, cook up a cuppa, and away I go. But that's another, yeah. You might find that as well, that sometimes we overbring bloody food and we just don't eat them. But at the same time, don't bring nothing. Just don't bring as much as what you know, cut it down a bit maybe, if you are like me. Righto. Someone in the comments, and I think I'll try and find the comment and put it up there. But so I had my new, pretend that's a like a 1.25 of soda water, or it could be a bottle of Coke, if that's what you're doing. So I created that new system, and my cup on my little marks. This little mark thing worked brilliantly. I had my 5 cups. So that went over like that. And I had my American honey in this, and I took it like that. And there's someone in the comments said, why don't you just pour that into there? Now, I know, obviously, you'll lose a little bit of space, but, you know, I went, you know what, I didn't even think of that. And I think the reason why I didn't think of it, or it didn't occur to me, is because I've got this flask, and it's a cool little bloody flask. And it's like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, this looks good. I'll take that, and I'll, you know. But I will do that from now on. I don't need to take the bloody flask. I'll just pour my alcohol into the soda water or the Coke, and then I'm all good. Now, first aid tag for pack pocket. Right, so I have a first aid kit, and I'll turn you around. I just recently saw this on a YouTube video. It was like, I don't know, hacks or something, camping hacks. And the guy had his pack. So And his pack had lots of different zippers all over it. This one's not too bad because that zipper is there for your hydration bit to go in. That's where I keep all my snacks. It's just one top one, and then there's that one. That's it. But what he did was he got, so this is like paracord. So he got red paracord, and on the pocket that lived the first aid kit, he made it a red one. So as soon as he picked up his pack, he didn't have to think about it or go through a few pockets to find it. He just went, I grabbed that one, open it, and hey presto, there's the first aid kit. So what I've done, because I didn't have any red paracord, and I thought, you know what, that's electrical tape, and because I've got this molly system on this bag, I was just able to loop it through there, and I just, you know, black bloody little cross on it. So me or anybody else would go, oh, clearly Mark's got a first aid kit on his pack. Boom. Oh, if I open it up, boom, there it is. Brilliant. So I thought that was a really good little tip or trick or hack or whatever the hell you want to call it. So yeah, there you go. One more to go, and this was my favorite one of all, is in actual fact, here's my bowl, here's my trivet. You're going, what the hell are you cooking, a roast in the bloody pot? No. What I use the trivet for is if I've got dim sims. You put a bit of water, this sits in the bottom of the pot. There's a video on me doing it. But I don't use that very often, but it's always just living in there. But now, no, it's not. I'm putting it aside. I'll only put that in here if I need it. Right, so this is my pot and pan set. I just pull that out like that, put that to the side. So I have a pan, that's just to stop the scratching. There's a lid, there's gloves for around fires and bloody handling hot shit. And what's different is I've now got this. Now how this came about, Mark, he brought a pan, and what he found was, and I should set this, hang on, let me set this up. Right, hopefully you can see that. So I've got my gas butane bloody thing set up. What Mark said was he got a pan, but what he found was when he put the pan on top of the stove, it kept falling off. So what he did was he removed the handle, got rid of it, but then he went, shit, how am I gonna bloody grab my pan? So that obviously fixed the problem like that, because I've got a folding handle, but obviously when you're cooking, you're not gonna cook it with there. So he went, right, cool, I'll just get a pair of pliers and I can use the pliers to do that. And when he was telling me that story, I said, you know what? I've got a pot grabber. So I can just grab a pot like that. Boom, pretty simple. But I never used it because my pots had handles on it. Hang on. I was just rummaging through my rubbish bin trying to find the handles that I cut off. So they were the handles you can see on there, and they would fold around and then so you'd bring them out and then you would have a handle. But what I found when we were there, when we had this on, we were cooking off the fire because it had an actual steel plate that swung in and out. So we just sat it on the plate over the fire and that would work brilliantly. It just cooked up everything. But I burnt my hand when I'd grab the thing, the handles, because of the fire, they were bloody cooking really hot. So I burnt my hand, not overly bad. When you're working on one of these, those handles don't get hot. So it was all right. But I thought, bloody hell, you know what? I'm carrying this around, not using it. So I just got rid of those because it's so easy. And now I will never, unless I'm stupid and put this in the fire and leave it there, that's just stupid. Or you could leave it on there, but I wouldn't do that. So that was my brilliant idea, was to get rid of that. It's funny how you kind of like go, we would have started with these and then we went, oh, now they've got pots with handles that fold out of the way. Oh, isn't that bloody great? Now I'm going back to the way it was before. So yeah, on both these pots, I've removed that off and I just use this little pot grabber to do that. Now, the thing that I said to Mark was that when he took the handle off, I said, "What?" Because I had the same bloody issue. I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't work. But what if you've got sausages, if you've got food in there? Now, this isn't like, just so you can see, I've got a cup. Let's see if just the cup will do it. Nearly. Put in a couple of empty ones. There you go, we got it. And then I've just got, you know, this is tiny. Now you're stable on there with the handle. The food is what holds it there. So you didn't really have to take it off. But anyway, there you go. Cool. Bloody hell, no, this, that was not my favourite thing. My favourite thing was my bloody lid. So the lid that goes on my pot like that, and yes, I've already tested that if the lid's on there, I can still grab it. You'll see this has now got a knob like that. This used to have that particular one on there. So, oh, it's concentrating on me. Now the reason why they have that is because it's very low profile. But what I found was when I'd grab it, I was always burning my bloody, it was hot. It's like, oh, all the time. And I thought, you know what, bugger it. The way that I work this and I have that in there, I've got plenty of room for it to have, for it to be higher because I have it run it upside down. So I just got a bit of bloody spare wood and put a screw in it and hey presto. Now I don't burn my bloody fingers. So that's, for me, awesome. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you've got little tips or tricks or whatever, whack them in the comments below. It's funny, and it's funny what you don't know or you don't think about, and sometimes me doing this or other people, me finding hacks off other bloody things, going, never thought of that. And I've been doing this for years. Righto guys, remember, keep on riding, and if you ain't riding, keep on keeping on.